Welcome to the Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
11:03 on the Lock Shop. Thank you very much for being here today. If you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, thank you very much for being along for the ride today. You can text us anytime, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Looks like they were having fun on the Hangout again, according to the inbox. So that is great. If you are over on YouTube right now, hammer the thumbs up. Jake says, 4-man weave tomorrow. Yes, and our best bets as well. Sobkirk, a little bit, what do I got here today? I've already got a bunch of player props that we've been laying out on the Nielsen show, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more props for you today. So we're going to kind of do a prop show. NHL Slate's going to be discussed here. We'll recap the NBA yesterday, just insane. The NBA is bloody nuts. So many trades yesterday over there. How are you a futures odds maker for the association right now? Like the trade after trade after trade after trade. I don't know how you're supposed to keep those futures up to date. And then we'll get into the NHL slate, pretty big NHL slate. But yeah, we're going to do a bunch of NFL player props as well. P. Greggy, Jake, they're fired up. 4-man weave tomorrow for the biggest game of the year. Absolutely can't wait for that. All right, let's bring in Huss. Huss, what's going on, buddy? How you doing, man?
Counting down the hours till Sunday.
I know. What's your plan? Huss, what are you doing? Like we have a big Super Bowl party planned. It's pretty much jam-packed at Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge. We did it last year, got off the rails a bit. We'll see how this year's goes. But what's the plan for Huss? Are you at Win City? Come on.
I think so. I think so. I've got a very good record. There. I've had some people pulling me in a bunch of different ways, but I don't really want to be at a big Super Bowl party or everyone's got their, I don't want to be around a bunch of people that are there that don't really care about the game, if you know what I'm saying. I need to be locked in with a big screen in front of me with the sound on, able to lose it over every basic play that happens over the course. So I think we'll be firing up. We may even go and get the golden elephant to roll in maybe some chow mein and some lemon chicken at halftime. We'll see. We've got plenty of options there. But yes, I think I will be at my usual post at my local for the game. And I do spend a lot of my Sundays at Confusion Corner, as you well know. But we go to Confusion when there's like 7 games on and we can watch every one. This will be...
Yeah, there's one focus here.
There's only one game. There's only one focus. Hey, you know what I was just thinking about tomorrow?
Yeah.
We should do a prop competition between the 4 of us.
Okay.
Where maybe we put in our...
I've got 7 player props today.
Yeah, well, I've got a bunch too, but I think we got to nail it down to our favorite 4.
Okay.
And then we will record what the odds are for each of the bets. And let's just say, hypothetically, we each had $100, and we're each going to put $25 on each of these 4 props. And at the end, we'll see what comes in, what doesn't. And, who's the Super Bowl prop king?
The prop king. I like that. It's a prop comp. That's what we've got on our hands here. All right, so Jake and Pat, I know you're watching right now, so be ready tomorrow. Your favorite 4 props. We're going to lay out a bunch today, and I guess tomorrow I'll be able to double check on them and see which ones I actually want to throw in to the prop comp conversation.
There's so many. Just going through this list right now.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
I was just diving. I probably spent about half an hour this morning just simply on the passing, the player passing stuff. You've got. Wait a second here. I've clicked on the wrong one. Here we are. There, you just go into player passing, and there are about as many markets as you'd normally have for a full game. Who's going to throw more picks? the total yards of the first completion, the passer ratings, highest completion percentage between the two, head-to-head passer rating, passing, first half, first quarter passing yards. There are so
length of
many.
First run per player. Like, come on.
It's overwhelming, to be honest with you. And with your team in the game, I basically want to hit, like, I'm thinking positive here. I basically want to hit the over in every single thing that I see right now.
Yeah.
Which has certainly been a big challenge. For this one too, because it's bigger. If you were looking at guys that you like on the defensive side of the ball, all sorts of, you can pick particular players to get interceptions. The first player to record an interception. Although the odds are a little bit screwed on this one, I'm just noticing. The guys might want to tweak this, or maybe it's just reversed. But Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is plus 460 to have an interception, but he's plus 400 to be the first player to record an interception. So I have a feeling that might be mixed. Although it's the same thing with McDuffie. Trent McDuffie's plus 650 to have an interception. He's plus 600 to be the first player to record an interception. By definition, if you're the first player to record an interception, you would have an interception. So I think the market there is to go just on the yes or no.
Yes or no side.
As far as on the first. It does change after you get for the first few players. And then starts getting, to, like, for instance, if you wanted Darius Slay to be the first interception, that's 12-1. He is plus 950. But I do think that might be something that they'll have to tweak. And then, just things like point scorer. The kickers are always the favorites in this one, but anyone that scores twice is going to be the guy.
That's the thing. I was looking at that as well. I was like, man, if Saquon has 2 touchdowns or Kareem Hunt has 2 touchdowns, they're doing. And I thought the value on those guys was good. I looked at that last night, Huss. I'm glad you brought that one up.
Yeah, top point scorer. If you do think someone's going to have a big, big game, what are you thinking about Kelsey for this game?
Well, I did say I've been doing a play a day all week, like a Super Bowl pick all week on the Nielsen show. And Kelsey was our Tuesday play, and we did take the over 6.5 because it's the bloody Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is going to find a way to get the ball to Travis Kelce. Like, I just don't see, and I know some people have talked about the Eagles and the strengths in their defense and things along those lines, but I don't see a world where Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes don't get Travis Kelce somewhat heavily involved in the offense. So I did take the over 6.5 catches. His first, I think, length of first catch was something I was looking at as well. Do you have those up? I don't have them up right now. But the length, the distance on his first reception, I think it's set at like 8.5 or something. And I was like, you know what? Does Mahomes just get it to Kelce quickly early in the game just to get him going, like a 4 or 5 yard kind of completion, just to maybe even the first bloody play of the game? Who knows? But so I've been looking at a few other Kelce lines here as well. But you watch this team week in and week out, and over the last 7 years in the playoffs, what are you expecting from Kelce?
Well, the funny thing is I think the key for the Chiefs side of things is to kind of zag when you think they're going to zig. Like, it's not surprising that we've seen Kelce kind of have his huge game when people weren't really expecting it, and a slower game when everyone was saying, okay, now he's hot, he's going to get going. He is coming off a much quieter game in the AFC Championship game, partly because of the way Buffalo looked at him. By the way, Jake's mentioning, I assume that's because there's not a no interception market. Either way, though, if you are looking at interceptions, I think you're better off betting the yes, no, as opposed to the first. I think that's where the value is for our guys. But anyways, back to these props. Let's like if you think of the beginning of the last game, with the Texans game, the very first thing they did was get the ball into Hollywood Brown's hands.
Yeah. The very first play on that slant. Wasn't it a slant? And
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just something comfortable. Like I'll tell you what, there's also a prop on the first pass complete or incomplete. I didn't mind, and again, this is me thinking, I think Jalen Hurts, outcome of first pass. For both players, it's minus 233 for a completed pass, and an incompletion is plus 180. Now, just the way the Chiefs run their offense and Mahomes throws so many passes behind the line of scrimmage, I would suggest that at even odds, Mahomes is a much better play than Hurts is. I mean, I think Kellen Moore is going to probably try and get Hurts feeling good too. I mean, that's a great strategy to, begin with some high percentage throws. So, I mean, there's a reason why the number is what the number is. 40-1 for a first pass interception. I still think back, man, to the Super Bowl in New York between the Seahawks and the Broncos. If you remember the first play by the Broncos in that game, that was the snap over the head of Peyton Manning into the end zone for a safety.
That was the first play, wasn't it? I think I watched that one in Cuba.
The safety prop hit on the first play of the game, will there be a safety? And the first score of the game, safety, I want to say was like 300-1 or something like that. Oh
my God.
And there was, a few people that just whatever threw $5 on it or something like that. And it did go through. Like, here's the scoring. So last team to score, first team to score, it's pick'ems. Race to 15 points. Chiefs minus 125, Eagles minus 105. No team to reach 15. That's interesting. Because the Chiefs have always been the play from behind team. And with this number being so close, basically a pick'em, a 1-point spread. Considering the history, I would almost think that the Eagles getting to 15 points would be a slight favorite than Kansas City. But maybe there's a lot of people like we haven't really seen. And one thing I'll lean on for Pat from Patty tomorrow is it'll be interesting to see kind of what the trends have been, where the bets have been made, where the money's coming in, the biggest bets, and who's generally getting more of the support. Like I was noticing yesterday, one of the companies in the States that's in like 22 states said, here's who people are betting on in these 22 states. Missouri was one of them. They were the Chiefs. The other 21 were all Eagles.
Really?
Yeah. So now, is that just people like anybody but the Chiefs? They want somebody new? Or is there actually that much steam on Philly being that team? And we have seen the number go down and we have seen the money line go down. You think this will get closer to a true pick'em by the time we get to?
I don't think so. I think one is where it's going to finish. We went through it when you were gone last week. I had like the top 10 closest point spreads in Super Bowls, and the 1.5 at the time between the Chiefs and Eagles was like the 7th tightest. There was 4 games I think that were at the 1, which is where this game is sitting at right now. So. You don't see a lot of games this close. Mind you, the Kansas City Chiefs, and you know better, I was going over the list. I mean, all of their Super Bowls have basically been 3 points or inside of the number. Like
nail biters.
Yeah.
Doing what they always do.
I want to get to a couple things in the chat here. Big Slime Nasty says the formula for Super Bowl betting is simple. As a Chiefs fan, you wait. Eagles jump out to the lead. Then during the Kendrick Lamar show, you hammer the Chiefs on the money line. Big Uke has looked up the field goals as somebody was asking, what's the historical field goal count in recent Super Bowls? The over 3.5 is plus 130. Big Uke ran it back the last 7 years. 7-3-3-4-3-3-5. So at least 3 in 7 straight Super Bowls. If you think there'll be one more than that, then you can hop on the over 3.5 at plus 130. And then there's another. Oh yeah, Ron says, I love the odds on first TD for each team, but my question is, what happens first, the TD or the Taylor Swift live on the Fox feed? And you can do that. You can bet the first to happen. I mean, we were going over it this morning. So Haas, where's the better value here? Any team scores a touchdown, minus 152, or Taylor Swift is shown live on the Fox broadcast, plus 110.
I think I might roll with T Swift.
Me too. Because, I mean, if Travis Kelce has a couple catches early in the game, we're getting a shot at Taylor Swift.
You know what? Even still, like early in the game, the quick pan around a few celebrities that'll be there.
The quick check-in on everybody, yeah.
Quick check-ins, and here's Kevin Hart, his Eagles thing. Here's
Big Uke is saying, as long as Travis makes a catch before a TD, it's easy money. Do you think they cut to her for first Kelce catch? They have to. I think they have to.
I'd be surprised if they didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people that'll be watching the game to see her as much as anybody wearing a red or a green jersey.
Plus 110.
Okay, there's a full market of Taylor Swift specials.
Oh yeah,
why don't we
T Swift specials are now up. It's too chalky for me, but the red minus 286. I mean, she's going to be wearing something to the Chiefs. So,
yeah, the main color of Taylor's top.
Yeah,
interesting. She did wear more of a black outfit for the last game. I think that would have been the main color, but you're right. I mean, I think red would seem to be a lock for her. Now, so the quarter of game Taylor Swift is first shown live on broadcast. So again, I guess this is this is not the pregame.
No,
this is from the kickoff or in and around. First quarter is minus 588, and then in second quarter 4-1, third quarter 8-1, fourth quarter 10-1. I know they dialed her back in the regular season when she was at games, but this is the Super Bowl. It's a different story. She gets on earlier. There's the proposal.
Yeah, plus 750.
Minus 2,500. I don't bet chalky numbers like that, but he's not proposing the field after the game. But yes, the first to happen, minus 152, a touchdown, Taylor Swift shown live on the Fox broadcast, plus 110. I think I may have to throw in on that. Will Taylor be shown on the Fox broadcast during the national anthem? Plus 350, no, minus 588. Probably staying away from that. Now, what does this say? Taylor Swift to be shown live on Fox broadcast immediately after Travis Kelce's We Don't See the End. First pass, first reception. I think that's probably what that is.
Yeah.
Let's see if we bet it. Yeah, it's first reception. That's probably, and the Super Bowl MVP to mention Taylor Swift in speech.
See, so if you go Taylor Swift to be shown live on Fox broadcast immediately after Travis Kelce's first reception at minus 213, I think you might as well throw Taylor Swift at plus 110 to show up on the broadcast.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's where the value is there. 100%.
Well, and the thing is that I hope that doesn't happen is the Eagles just get the ball and go down and score.
Yeah.
Because the one thing that I think the Chiefs will do, highly likely the Chiefs because if the Chiefs win the toss, I think they defer and they take the ball in the second half. If Philly wins the toss, I'm not as sure. Like, I could see them maybe even just saying, hey, no, we'll take the ball. We want to go out and we want to establish the run. And we're going to give it to Saquon. And right out of the gate, we're going to force these guys to stop us and try and get a lead. So that, again, and I can't remember where, there's so many markets. I'll have to kind of identify those. What about punts?
I haven't even looked at the punting market. I don't know if I can bring myself to bet on punting, you know? I love betting on a lot of stuff, but punting, I just don't know about. What do we got for punting?
Over 6.5 punts. Over is plus 120. Just two very good defenses.
Yeah, I think that's going to be close.
Year, that game against San Francisco, I mean, it ended up being, I guess it ended up being 25, but it was basically 16 all late in the game. So there were punts. It's even on both sides. Who's going to punt more? Will there be a punt down inside the five?
Inside the five.
That's 255. I don't mind that. I think there might be some value in on that.
On the plus 255, well, then you're thinking, I mean, you need a brilliant kick at that point, right? Because that's why the number's so big inside the five. Lots of times guys are just going to let it bounce into the end zone, right? So,
well, it's a matter of, punting it short enough that your cover team can basically go in there and the guy's not going to fair catch it. They're not going to fair catch it in underneath there. Either team not to punt an entire game, 11-1.
Is this a Jaden Daniels number? Jaden Daniels had offense do that 3 times this year, 4 times. But for both teams, that would be tough. Well, Haas, I've got like 7 player props here. Do you have some other props that you?
Yeah. You know what? Fire through yours.
Okay, yeah, I'll lay out mine here because so the ones that I've hit so far in the morning show: Kareem Hunt TD, Travis Kelce over 6.5 catches, Devonta Smith over 61.5 yards. He's done well against Kansas City. And then this morning we added on, and I'm not a big Kendrick Lamar guy. I apologize to people. I'm not anti-Kendrick Lamar. I haven't listened to a lot of Kendrick Lamar stuff, but I did get very chalky this morning, and his hit that he just won all the Grammys for, Not Like Us, final song of the show, minus 156. So I'm going chalky on that one. And then I've got, a pretty good split on both sides here. I'm going to take Saquon Barkley over 24.5 yards for his longest rush. That's at minus 110. We know Saquon's been capable of breaking much longer runs on a rather consistent basis. Does he have a 25-yarder in this game? I think he probably does. So Saquon over 24.5 yards, his longest rush. It's minus 110. I'm going to sprinkle this one. It's 11-1. We talked about it last week, Huss, when you weren't here, but any quarterback to have a reception in this game, 11-1, because we're thinking Philly special. I mean, either the Chiefs are going to do it just to stick it to them, or Philly's going to try to pull it off because it's their thing. So I like a quarterback to catch a ball in this football game. It's 11-1. You're not putting a lot on it, but a little sprinkle and somebody pulls off the Philly special, you can feel pretty good about it. Have to think if they're getting close, there's a tush push coming in this football game. Jalen Hurts touchdown, minus 125. I've got Juju over 9.5 for his longest reception at minus 114. He had 2 catches for 60 yards in the championship game. I originally was looking at Hollywood for this. I think his number's like 16.5 yards. I saw Juju at 9.5, and I thought, okay, I'll take Juju over 9.5 for his long reception. That's at minus 114. I am going to take Devonta Smith minus 156 head-to-head with Hollywood Brown on yards, but I do want to talk about Hollywood for a second here. Kareem Hunt over 10.5 rushing attempts, minus 123. Had 17 last week. You're getting that number at 10.5? Come on. So I love that one. That might be my favorite. You know what? I'm probably going to put that into the prop comp tomorrow. Make a note on that. Kareem Hunt over 10.5 catches at minus 123. And Patrick Mahomes' first rush attempt over 4.5 yards, minus 123 as well. So that's kind of what I've got going into tomorrow already. But what about Hollywood Brown, buddy? Like, is there an Xavier Worthy or a Holloway Brown or like, do one of those guys have a real game? Or is it 2 or 3 catches on 5 or 6 targets here and they all end up with 45 yards? Like, who would be the most likely non-Kelsey Chief to actually go out and hang 100 on the Eagles defense if possible?
It's funny because you'd naturally go to one of those 2 guys. You know who's been so quiet in the playoffs is DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure whether it's just D-Hop doesn't quite have – he used to be a top 3 receiver in the National Football League. He still got great hands, although he did have a couple drops. Like the Hopkins numbers, the DeAndre Hopkins receiving yards is 11.5.
For the game?
For the game. It's essentially one. Like I'll be on the over on that. I'm just saying this right now. I'll be on the over on that because I do think that, again, zigging when they've been zagging.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because I brought up the playoffs, and he's been targeted 3 times, has 1 catch and 11. So he hasn't really done it. Like, they haven't really even used him, right?
He's 80-1 to have the most receiving yards. Be hilarious if all of a sudden he just exploded. I mean, that might be worth putting a fin down on or something like that. I mean, I think Kelsey is clearly the most likely Chief to have the most receiving yards when we think about what he's done in playoffs and big games before, and the fact that he had a quieter game. But to be honest, considering if you're just looking at Worthy versus Juju versus Hollywood Brown, like Worthy's plus 350 and Brown is 10-1. So there's certainly, based on what we've seen so far this year, lean heavily Worthy. To me, I think that's kind of closer between those two, to be perfectly honest. The one guy whose numbers are way down is Pacheco too. And I mean, that's sort of in line with the fact that Kareem has sort of proven himself to be a little bit more reliable runner. And I think I'm going to go heavier on Kareem on this one as opposed to sort of fading Pacheco. If you recall last week, the Chiefs did have 1 turnover, and I know it was sort of credited to Mahomes. But, I mean, that was a little bit of miscommunication with Pacheco, who's still only in his second year. For me, I mean, I'm just going to stay on these receiving totals before, because that's one of the areas that I really kind of focused in when doing these. Kareem Hunt over 6.5 yards receiving. I mean,
oh wow,
Kareem Hunt is a reliable receiver out of the back. Now, have they been leaning on him more just running the football? Absolutely. But to be perfectly honest, with what the Eagles have up front with Jalen Carter and the boys on that line, I have a feeling that Andy Reid's going to try to find different ways of getting the football in the hands of guys like Kareem Hunt. So, I mean, to me, that might be my favorite prop of the entire game. I mean, right off the bat, Kareem Hunt over 6.5 yards. I mean, that's essentially 1 screen pass that goes for 7 yards. So I will definitely be on there. And you know what? I know, I mean, while we're talking about, well, here, I'll just continue with the passing props right now. I will be taking over 11.5 on DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, to me, he's too good. I think Andy Reid is going to want to get him in this game. I really do think we're going to see Mahomes. And I know the total receivers for this entire game is 13.5. I didn't see what it is on each side. I think you'll see 7-8 different Chiefs catch balls in this game. And, you know, Mahomes distributes.
You're liking a Samaje Perine catch, aren't you?
Well, you know, Perine basically didn't play until that final play.
Had the final ball, yeah.
And it was a very unique situation in that, you know, they needed a first down. They weren't going to, I mean, they could run the football, but they were willing to pass it to give them a better chance to move the chains. And he's probably the most reliable guy for that. But I think part of the reason why I like Kareem Hunt is I'm not sure that there's enough body of work this year of him catching the football that'll be what Philly's thinking right off the bat. Not to mention, I mean, all the misdirection and the disguises that they use with where they set guys up. I mean, it's all part of that Andy Reid playbook, which is an all-timer. But I will be taking DeAndre Hopkins 11.5. I think they go to him a big third down here and there. And I think people are kind of sleeping on him. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Gardner Johnson and Guantanamo Island or whatever are basically looking off of Hopkins just because he hasn't done much, and more to Kelsey more to Brown, and more to Xavier Worthy. So those two receiving props I'm in on. The Juju, as you mentioned, and Juju had contributed last week. And he was a pretty big part of the last Super Bowl that he played in. He's at 16.5. The Kelsey at 61.5. I mean, I'm sort of with you. I think it's going to be a big game. It could be his last game. And don't sleep on Noah Gray as well at over 11.5. Like, I think there's some real value on some of these lower Chief receiving numbers, just because of how well Mahomes distributes the ball and how they're willing to take what the defense is giving them. And what the defense might be giving them is some open looks at guys lower down the pecking order, if you will, amongst Chief receivers.
Yeah, Noah Gray over 1.5 receptions plus 108.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't hate that. There's plus money on that one on the overside to just have 2 catches in the ball game.
Where is Justin Watson? Brown, Barkley, Perine, Gray, Pacheco, AJ Brown. Is there no Justin Watson number?
I don't see him, buddy.
Interesting. Maybe we can get that added up. He's another guy that, he's not going to get 6 targets, but he gets 2 or 3, and he always comes down with a big catch when they need it. So depending on what his total is, I think I'd probably be jumping on over because I think it would be relatively small. But getting to the Eagles here, and again, you have to follow your script for this game. I will be taking under 111.5 rushing yards for Saquon Barkley in this football game. There's not. Listen, James Cook actually did have a great third quarter. But Kansas City's good at not giving up the big play. I'm kind of, hopefully you won't win that bet of the over. What was the long run? 26.5?
24.5.
24.5?
I mean, he could hit that.
Is.
He could hit that, and you could still cash the under 111, though. I mean.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, look at his total for the last game. I mean, his first run was like a 60, 65-yard touchdown run. And he didn't go over the number. So, anyways, I will be on the under for Saquon Barkley. One Barkley, though, that I will be on the over is on his receiving. 12.5. I think similar to what I just said about Kareem Hunt, I think with the focus on the run game, I think both offensive coordinators are going to find a way to try to get the ball into the hands of Hunt, but specifically Saquon Barkley in maybe a little bit more of an advantageous situation if they really are focusing on the run, which I think the Chiefs are going to have to do. You'd be insane not to. And again, for Barkley, I mean, you dial up a good play and get him the football. He could do that in 1 reception. So I like both running backs to go over their receiving totals. I'm probably not going to touch their rushing total. I will be taking the Barkley under on the 111. And then just quickly, I mean, while we got, those are the kind of the 4 or 5 that I had ready to go. Most receiving yards in the game. So AJ Brown is 2-1. And I get it. I mean, he's great when he's on. He is going to have to deal with Trent McDuffie, who was first team All-Pro, one of the best in the game, and has been in this situation before. I mean, I do think that there's probably some value further down the list. You mentioned Devonta Smith. He's a guy that actually does make me nervous. And man, he can get it in chunks.
Yep.
This is not a guy that's doing it 5 and 6 yards at a time. On the Eagles side, he's a guy that makes me nervous. And you know what? Dallas Goedert as well. I mean, Goddard sometimes just has monster games. And Jalen Hurts really does like throwing to him. But it's always fun to go a little bit further down the list. As I mentioned, I think I will stick a 5 on DeAndre Hopkins just in case he has some miracle game. I don't think it'll be Juju. It's 60-1. But Hollywood Brown, we kind of talked about that Worthy versus Hollywood. And I think that this will be a time where they try and get Hollywood Brown the ball early and often.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if Hollywood could be that guy. Like that would be the Chiefs thing, right? 90 yards and a touchdown for Hollywood Brown in the Super Bowl. Yeah.
And much like Devonta Smith, capable of breaking one open every time he's got the ball in his hands.
Jake over in the Nasty Chat says total players to attempt a pass over or under 2.5. The over is plus 155. So if you think there's going to be some trickery, that's another way to get a piece of that. Get a piece of that one as well. We're gonna have Jake. We're gonna have Pat, myself, and Huss. 4-man weave tomorrow to get you set for the Super Bowl. We'll do our prop competition that Huss was laying out today. We'll obviously give you our best bets as well. We'll definitely build some sort of parlay that we can all ride with as well. Huss, it is a busy slate in the NHL. Anything else on Super Bowl before we go basically full Super Bowl extravaganza tomorrow?
Let's see. Not really, other than we probably won't spend too much time on this. If anybody in the chat, who's singing the national anthem? Do we know this? Usually by the time I've dug in.
I heard some people talking about it on podcasts I was listening to this morning. I can't remember the name, but they were saying under, but they couldn't remember the name. Somebody will tell us.
Okay. Player or coach to cry during the national anthem on the Fox broadcast.
Oh, wow.
Now, again, we've got two legendary criers in Chris Jones and Nick Sirianni. Sirianni, I'm convinced, was just doing it for attention.
You'll never believe into the emotions of Nick Sirianni.
No, I won't. I don't mind the no on that. I think it's sort of been done a couple times. Maybe, if they're focusing on Jones and he just gets so emotional and they're running down his face, whatever. I don't think Sirianni is going to be the blithering mess that he was 2 years ago in that game. So I think there's some value at plus 500 on the no. Maybe I'll pop that in for tomorrow's competition.
Sirianni's going to screw you on that one, hey? Then you'll have an even more reason to hate Sirianni moving forward.
Well, listen, he can cry before the game and he can cry in his office after the game. That'll be fine. Well, he's got enough tears for everything that he's going to do for it. But yes, opening coin toss called correctly. Coin toss winner of opening coin toss. It's all minus 102 on either side. So a very nice number.
That's a nice number then.
They're on that. Coin toss. Did I tell you? Pat said yesterday, hey, when Feinberg's on, ask him about those gambling Twitter spaces. Yes. And we talked about that for a bit at the end. He said that there's some woman out there that's putting together all sorts of historical data and claiming to be a coin toss tout. The stupidest thing I've ever heard. Can you imagine? I've got some special information that's going to help you.
I'm an expert on the coin toss. Expert on the coin toss. Yeah, that makes sense.
Tails never fails. Isn't that what they say?
Yeah.
Hey, just quickly, total sacks in the game, over 4.5.
Over.
Minus 167. And today's big game super boost, I think I bet this every day this week. I've just seen it and I'm in, and I'm going to do it as well with this one. Total sacks over 4.5, total field goals over 2.5. Boosted from plus 132 to plus 175. These super boosts have been nice.
Yeah, it's been a nice little addition all throughout the week. Well done, boys. Well done.
You guys are doing a good job of getting this special. And like all of those, you got to make sure you get it in today because it's not going to be there tomorrow. So there is my daily bet on the super boost. But yeah, you want to get some hockey for tonight? Yeah. Hey, I know you touched on it. Just quickly, you're the hoops guy.
Yeah.
This trade yesterday, apparently Durant was supposed to go to Golden State, and he bailed on it, eh?
What? I didn't see that. When did that come up?
Yeah.
What?
They weren't bringing in him and Jimmy.
They were going to get him instead of Jimmy.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
I think Jimmy was going to go to maybe the Suns, and then Wiggins plus
would go to Miami with some other stuff.
But I think KD is so burned that everyone thought that it was the weakest move of all time to lose to a team in the finals and then sign there as a free agent.
Yeah.
He's out.
Weakest move.
He's out on so he's going to stay in Phoenix.
Not only did he, but they had a 3-1 lead in that Western Conference final and let it slip away. Like, that's just the all-time, I'm not going to be able to beat them. I'll join them. Tough look. You can't run that back twice. Crazy day yesterday, though. I mean, Jimmy Butler going to Golden State. We'll see. Somebody already texted into my show this morning. Like, hey, Dusty, headline from the future. Jimmy Butler requests trade after practice altercation with Draymond Green. I was just like, actually, you know what? As far as things I'd like to bet on, that would probably be how it ends there. So yeah, I thought that was rather entertaining. But yeah, I mean, the Lakers got their big. I was saying yesterday, they have to go out and get somebody of significant size in the middle. They went out and got a 7-foot, 23-year-old who's averaging 16 and 10 this year. And Mark Williams had to give up Dalton Connect to do it. Didn't necessarily love that because I like Connect. I think he's a good player, but I guess I love it. Like, so about 10 days ago, Anthony Davis sits down with Shams Charania and goes, yeah, you know, I'd like them to land a big so that I didn't have to play the 5. They trade him, and then Luka comes in and says, hey, I want somebody I can lob the ball to. And they go out and trade for a 23-year-old 7-footer. I was just like, man, Luka's getting things done. So that was a good pickup. The Raptors one kind of confused me a little bit. Like, I don't know, like the Raptors are giving up first at this stage of what they're doing. And then didn't they trade for PJ Tucker this morning or something? Did I see that? What was that deal about?
PJ Tucker. He's going to Miami. He was part of that big trade yesterday. He was part of the player.
I thought the Raptors acquired him this morning.
Let me see here. I'm on the NBA page.
Yeah, Toronto Raptors are trading Davion Mitchell to Miami for PJ Tucker and a 2nd-round pick. So I would think PJ Tucker probably, does he end up hitting the buyout market here? I don't know. So the Raptors confused me a little bit as well.
Why would teams trade for guys and then buy them out? Like, what's the benefit?
To be honest with you, I don't 100% have the answer on it, but I know it happens quite a bit from a clear out the contract perspective because teams want the cap so badly. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure of the exact answer for you.
But this is basically 2 of the last 3 years. Well, the Raptors have sucked. They've traded a 1st-round pick for a player at the end that's basically only going to make their draft pick worse. Listen, I got a lot of love for Masai. He got the championship. He got it all done. But I don't really entirely understand what they're doing. And I'll be the first to admit, I don't understand how these trades work. Like, if you ever go on the ESPN trade machine,
yeah,
like sometimes you have to get these other teams to put in guys to make things work. Like, that's why this was a 5-team deal.
That was a 5-team deal. The Jimmy Butler deal was a 5-team deal. Crazy stuff.
Another one, Yusuf Nurkic going from the Suns to the Hornets for Cody Martin.
Yeah, there's a couple that are coming down. The deadline's in an hour and 14 minutes. So we'll see what ends up. We'll see if anything else of significance ends up happening. But Huss, we got less than 10 minutes. We got to dive into an NHL slate here, and it's a pretty. I mean, lots to get to. New Jersey's hosting Vegas tonight. Nico Dawes and Aiden Hill are both listed as likely. Vasilevsky is confirmed to start for the Lightning. Ottawa's playing in Tampa again after doing it 2 days ago. Forsberg and Vasilevsky there. Fedotov at home for the Flyers. Charlie Lindgren will start for the Washington Capitals. Merzlikins for the Blue Jackets. Connor Ingram for Utah. Philip Gustafson will start for Minnesota. Freddie Anderson is unconfirmed at this point for Carolina. Spencer Knight will go for the Panthers. Joel Hofer for the Blues. We got lots of backups around the league tonight getting some work. Calgary will go with Dustin Wolf. Mackenzie Blackwood unconfirmed for Colorado at this point. Joey Decourt is likely for Seattle. Joseph Woll unconfirmed for Toronto. I did see Jake tweeting out some Austin Matthews stuff a little bit earlier on about an Austin Matthews anytime goal tonight. And then Georgiev and Thatcher Demko in Vancouver, San Jose. Both of those guys are unconfirmed at this point. So a decent enough slate for a Thursday, buddy. What do you like?
Well, I think I like the Avalanche in Calgary. The Avs have been they've been a little bit off since the Rantanen trade. They in their last outing, they lost, and they're just 4-5-1 over their last 10. I think they're really looking for a push heading into the break. So I think I'm liking Colorado. They're a good road team. And listen, Calgary's been really good at home so far this year, 69-3. But to me, the Avs are still in. And listen, it's important for them right now. They're only 5 points up on the Flames, and the Flames have 2 games in hand on them right now. Kind of interesting how Vancouver just kind of turned it around. That race for that final spot is going to be probably just Calgary, Vancouver. I think we can.
I think that's what it comes down to as well. I would agree with you.
Utah and St. Louis are at 53. We've got a chance to, I guess, make a run, but for the most part, it's going to be those 2 teams battling for it. I don't know. Calgary has definitely surprised me at times this year, but I would lean Colorado, not necessarily needing to do that. Right off the bat, give me Columbus at plus 130. Not too sure why Utah would be a minus. Now, Utah has been better away from home. They're 13-10-3. They're only 9-12-6 at home. But the Blue Jackets, who have lost 2 in a row, they're 17-5-3 at home. They're still right in the mix of this playoff race right now. And when you look at the East, they've fallen back, 1 point? Yeah, they're 1 point out of Tampa. But again, Tampa's got those extra games in play. But they're 2 points back at Detroit right now. This is a huge game for Columbus. Lost a couple in a row. Got to get this win. Love the value at plus 130. What about you?
I like Carolina in regulation. Gets it. For the parlay, if we wanted to throw it in, whatever, it's minus 189 on the money line. But Carolina coming up. You just watched Carolina, so you can chime in on this one as well, as they were just shut out by the Jets. But Carolina's dropped 2 in a row. Lost to the Kings 4-2, had won 6 of their 7 previous to these 2 that they've dropped. They get a Minnesota team that's been shut out in back-to-back games and is at the first game back at home after a 5-game road trip. So I like Carolina tonight to put the brakes on this 2-game slide as they head into Minnesota. So for the parlay, even minus 189 is workable. If we want a much better number, Carolina in regulation is minus 110. I think with the way the Blue Jackets have been going now, are they banged up? Are they missing a bunch of guys right now? Take a look here.
Let's see. Let's fire up DFO. What do we got for Columbus here?
So Columbus has...
Oh, it's Werenski. Werenski has the...
Yeah, and there's no Marchenko either. Like, they're missing some key guys. That would explain the plus 130 number.
They have so many guys that are injured.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Goodbranson, Jenner, Chinnikov, Monahan, Marchenko, all on IR. I got to say, I still believe in them, though. Let's see who they're. Fantilli will be centering the top line. Second line center, Luca Del Beluz. I'll be honest, never heard of Justin Danforth. He's their third line center.
Oh, you never heard of Danforth? The Stauffer in this market was pushing him quite some time as a good pickup for the Oil. Hasn't happened yet, though. But Danforth, we know all about.
Kent Johnson, Voronov. Okay, well, listen, now
they're big. It's a little too scary. I think it's a stay away. It's not like I'm going to look at that and go, well, that's good on Utah for sure.
No, you're right.
Like I've got Colorado in here. I agree with you on Colorado. Colorado and Carolina money lines plus 149. So it depends on what the value is we get on this third game. And if we can't get it up, we can go to Carolina in regulation to get there. But
I don't mind Carolina in regulation, to be honest. You kind of laid it out. The Wild are, and actually, is Kaprizov out again? Yeah, he's back on the IR. They can't score right now. Carolina, they ran into a bit of a buzzsaw here in Winnipeg, and the Jets played really well against them. But I I'm definitely in on Carolina in reg.
Okay. So then we need one more. What else? Because you had Columbus, you had Colorado. What was
Washington and Philly?
Well, I'm so down on Washington because they've been screwing me over on these under parlays, but it won't be Logan Thompson tonight. I don't know the record of. Let me see if I can find the record of Charlie Lindgren. Yeah.
Well, it's going to be pretty good. I mean,
they've played twice this year. Washington won both times by 3 goals. Philly has lost 4 in a row and 6 of their last 7. Washington beat Florida 6-3, has points in 9 of 10. What's the number on Washington?
Minus 159.
That'd probably end up being a pretty good number then if we put it with the other two.
You know what I do like, and I kind of overlooked this just because it was so far down, but I like the Leafs in Seattle, minus 155.
That puts it to plus 412 with the boost almost 5-1. So
that's if we're including the Avalanche.
Yeah, Colorado money line, Canes in reg, Toronto money line plus 412.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
What about this Vegas Jersey game?
Well, my first thought was Jersey just because of the way Vegas has been playing as of late, but I didn't dive into it much past that just because there's so many other games tonight that I liked better.
Like Vegas has won 1 of their last. Sorry, they've got 3 wins in their last 13 games.
Lost 4 in a row. Devils have been kind of alternating after a little slide. I mean, it's the 3rd game of a trip. They lost to the Islanders. They lost to the Rangers. I think I like the Leafs a little bit more, to be honest with you, against Seattle. But
no, I do like Seattle. No, let's leave the Leafs in there. So, and we're gonna go with the Avs against Calgary.
Yeah.
All right. So Leafs minus 155, Colorado minus 159, and Canes in reg in Minnesota minus 110 comes up to plus 412. We'll get that above plus 450.
It's coming up on Winnipeg Sports Talk, buddy.
Well, we're going to dive into the CFL. Justin Dunk's going to pop in.
I saw the Bombers just signed Jareth Stearns.
Yeah. Do you know much about him?
A decent slot guy for the Riders the last couple of years. I thought he was a guy that I would have liked to have seen get a bit more opportunity. Riders had a pretty deep receiving core, though, when healthy. So it never really came. So I mean, I don't mind. They've reworked that receiving group. I think there's a job in there for Stearns somewhere for sure.
Well, it sounds like there's going to be some opportunity. I mean, Wolotarski's gone. Kenny Lawler's gone. So they're going to need to find some guys to come in and step up and get passes. So we probably is really looking at a very nice opportunity to do that. Murat Atesh from The Athletic. We'll get into the latest on the Jets, getting ready for this final game against the Islanders tomorrow. And then my guy, Chris Meany. Now, Meany, of course, is now with the NHL, NHL.com, is their lead fantasy guru. He is the prop king. He's also a card-carrying Eagles guy.
Oh, so boy.
I have a feeling we won't be talking as much hockey as we normally do when we get together. So, that's all coming up, and should be a fun one. So, if you want to get into some Jets talk and more hockey and some CFL and NFL, we're live coming up at 1 o'clock. Basically in about 3 minutes when we're done this program. What's coming up on EST?
Well, we got 2 guys and goalie coming up right away, and then EST afternoons and the Reed Wilkins show from 3 to 6. So we've got a lot more coming down the pipe, and 2 guys and a goalie coming up here right away as well. 4-man weave tomorrow. Myself, Huss, Pat, Jake. We're going to be setting up all things Super Bowl tomorrow on Friday's show at the Lock Shop. Thank you very much for joining us today. Best of luck tonight, and we will talk to you tomorrow.